My name is Lauren Whitaker, and I'm 29 years old. Competence in my world isn't something you announce, it's choreography. Every bill, every appliance, every small decision lines up like dominoes, silent, precise, inevitable. At 12:00 a.m., the dishwasher slides into off-peak. My last spreadsheet cell glows green like a heartbeat. The condo, my condo, deed and utilities in my name, breathe steady. A hull with ballast I built one choice at a time. Nobody toasts ballast. You only notice it when the boat lurches. Tonight it lurched. Ryan, my boyfriend of 4 years, texted while I was finishing dinner alone. "Hey babe, can't talk right now. Dinner with an old friend in town. Don't wait up. Love you." I stared at it for a long moment. Something about the phrasing, too loose, too rehearsed, pulled at the edges of my calm. 6 months ago, I might have dismissed it, but after 4 years of subtle dissatisfaction, every word feels weighted. Ryan has always complained. I'm too predictable. Every anniversary, every birthday, every mundane Tuesday was met with a sigh, a glare, or the lament that I never surprise him. He wants fireworks. He wants spontaneity. Meanwhile, I've been orchestrating our lives like a quietly efficient conductor. The anniversary dinner last week, Italian, candles, his favorite wine, handwritten note, the response, "This is exactly what you did last year. Can't you be creative?" I thought about all the small, unacknowledged labor, rent, utilities, groceries, budget spreadsheets, spontaneous dinner pickups. Yet predictability is my crime. So tonight, I decided to redefine spontaneity. I logged into our shared phone account. Ryan had added his ex-girlfriend, Mia, 2 years ago when she couldn't manage her plan. Just temporarily, he said at the time, but temporarily stretched into months of quiet financial support I'd never agreed to. Her line, her bills, all on my carefully curated auto-pay calendar. I clicked remove line, immediate termination. Confirmation came at 2:47 p.m. I sat back, calm, no flourish, no flair, just an unplanned disruption in a world that had always demanded my predictability. By 2:52 p.m., Ryan's work phone, the one Mia never had, started buzzing. Friends, acquaintances, frantic messages. Mia's Instagram went dark mid-story, mid-sentence, mid-complaint. The irony, she'd been filming herself lamenting how boring he was, only to have her own line die mid-performance. I walked in at 6 p.m. Ryan was already home. He found me on the couch, tablet in hand, expression unreadable. "You canceled her phone?" he asked. "Surprised?" I replied evenly. "That's not spontaneous. That's vindictive. You said you wanted surprises, that I never do anything without planning. This was completely unplanned. Saw your text, felt inspired, just went for it." He blinked, flustered. "My work, my Instagram, my contacts. All still exist. You just need a new plan to access them," I said. "Mia's still free to choose a carrier. They're open until 8. "Money?" he asked, hesitant. "The money from her influencer work." I didn't need to explain further. Everyone knew her last post for a sponsor had paid $50 3 months ago. He exhaled slowly. I could almost see the realization settling in. The surprise wasn't just a message, it was a mirror. The next morning, Mia's entitlement exploded spectacularly. Her mother, Denise, appeared at 7, outrage plastered across her face. "How dare you isolate my daughter?" "I didn't," I said. Calm. "She has the tablet, Wi-Fi, a laptop. I just stopped paying for her phone." Denise's jaw tightened. "Financial abuse." "No. Financial abuse would be if I prevented her from getting her own plan. She's an adult. She can choose any carrier today. You don't need me to fund her immaturity." Mia hovered behind her mother, smirking like she'd won something. Then came the inevitable revelation. Her mother's plan only had a couple of gigabytes of data. Mia needed 50 for content, $200 per month. She realized she'd been exaggerating, lying about how much support she'd been receiving. I sipped my coffee, silent, watching the cracks form in her performance of control. The first few posts on Instagram came quickly. Claims of financial abuse, manipulation, control. Classic. But she didn't notice one critical oversight. I still followed her backup account, where she tested posts for engagement. The original story, testing engagement, abuse versus empowerment, was already screenshot and filed. Her main feed gained traction for a moment until a pointed comment arrived. Why can't you afford a $30 basic plan if you're an influencer? Silence, the irony lost on her entirely. Her best friend Kayla called my phone. You need to fix this. She's spiraling. Fix what? I asked. She can't work without her phone. She's going to lose brand deals. I paused, letting the words hang. Which brand deals? A long, uncomfortable silence. Lauren Whitaker, I reminded myself. Not a villain, not cruel, just unstoppable. By the time night fell, Mia tried accessing Netflix, only to discover I'd downgraded to a single-screen plan, my screen, currently streaming The Office at work. She watched, phoneless and Netflix-less, while I silently reasserted my boundaries. She threw a pillow. I caught it. Predictable, I said. She stormed off. Our bedroom. My rent. My rules. The dance had begun. The morning sun barely touched the apartment when Denise, Mia's mother, appeared on my doorstep. Her expression was a storm contained in human form. How dare you isolate my daughter? She demanded before I could even greet her. I didn't isolate her, I said evenly, stepping aside to let her in. She has the tablet, Wi-Fi, a laptop. She's free to go anywhere today. Pick any carrier, get a new plan. She's an adult. Denise's nostrils flared. This is financial abuse, controlling behavior. You can't just... I can, because I've been paying for her irresponsibility for 2 years. She's had every convenience without earning it. I'm done enabling her fantasy. Mia hovered behind her mother, faced the perfect mix of outrage and smugness. She was the star of the drama, playing victim to perfection. I couldn't help but notice how fragile her veneer was, cracks forming the moment reality bit back. Denise shook her head. Well, I'll just add her to my plan. Mia's confident smirk faltered. Mom, that plan only has 2 GB of data. That's plenty, Denise said. No, I need at least 50 for my content. Denise's face turned to me. You've been paying that? I nodded calmly. Exactly. 2 years. The look of disbelief on Mia's face was delicious. All that performance, all that entitlement, suddenly confronted by simple math and inconvenient truth. By mid-morning, the chaos had spread. Mia had tried to post a story on Instagram about financial abuse using our Wi-Fi and tablet. Tagging every domestic violence hashtag she could think of, she wanted sympathy, outrage, attention. What she didn't realize was that her first test post on her backup account had been identical, captioned, Testing Engagement. Which angle gets more sympathy, abuse or empowerment? I had screenshot both. Public chaos met private evidence. Every attempt to craft a narrative only reinforced the inconsistencies she was desperate to hide. Her friend Kayla called my phone. Lauren, you need to fix this. She's spiraling. She can't work without her phone. Fix what? I asked, deliberately calm. She's going to lose brand deals. Which brand deals? I repeated, letting the silence stretch. Her voice faltered. She's in talks. She's been in talks since we met. I let that hang in the air. In talks. That explained the lack of follow-through, the fantasies she had been living in. All along, she had been pretending to have influence, credentials, momentum, and now reality was catching up. By afternoon, Mia realized even our shared Netflix account was limited. I'd downgraded to a single-screen plan, my screen streaming The Office. She had to sit beside me on the couch, watching while the tablet displayed a frozen login screen. She shrieked, "This is petty." "No," I corrected, voice quiet but deliberate. "This is spontaneous. Unpredictable changes based on my choices. Isn't it exciting?" She threw another pillow. I caught it. "Predictable," I said. She stormed off. "Predictable. My rules, my space, my boundaries." Over the next 2 days, her entitlement escalated. First, she tried to stage photo shoots using our tablet at coffee shops with free Wi-Fi, spending money she didn't have. Then her mother cracked and gave her a flip phone, calling and texting only. Mia posted it on Instagram, framing it as digital minimalism, her latest attempt at controlling the narrative. She deleted comments pointing out her inconsistencies. Then came the career intervention. Mia claimed she would finally get a real job, her big independence moment. Denise helped her apply to marketing positions, pride lighting her face. But the universe, in the form of an email from a company I'd interviewed with, intervened. They needed verification of her employment history as my assistant. I responded, "She has never been employed by me in any capacity. She occasionally takes photos of food for me." She didn't get the job. The meltdown was instant. You sabotaged me, she cried, gripping the flip phone like a lifeline. I didn't sabotage anything, I said softly. I just told the truth. For 3 years, I've enabled a fantasy. I'm done. Her tears were real this time, raw, unpracticed. Why are you being so cruel? I'm not being cruel, I'm being honest. By the evening, the nuclear option came. Mia started messaging my mother, telling her I was abusive, controlling, frightening. My mother called immediately. Lauren, is Mia okay? She's fine, I replied evenly. I just stopped paying for her phone. Oh, that's all? My mother's voice softened. Good. That girl needs a reality check. Meanwhile, Mia had ordered food delivery. Without the ability to tip via app, she was forced to borrow cash. I handed the tip to the delivery driver myself. She grabbed the sushi, slammed the door, and announced mid-bite, I'm moving out. Her entitlement clashed spectacularly with reality. Rent, logistics, independence, all suddenly tangible. By nightfall, her melodrama was in full swing. Every step of packing was documented for Instagram stories. Outfit changes, tearful poses, dramatic shots by the window, latte purchases for Wi-Fi. All meticulously staged. And I watched, quietly, the controlled observer, knowing the boat had lurched again, and this time I was steering. By the third day, the drama had spilled entirely into the public sphere. Mia, convinced of her own victimhood, began a campaign of social media storytelling, posting about financial abuse and controlling behavior. Each story, each hashtag, was carefully crafted to elicit outrage and sympathy. What she didn't know was that I was watching, not aggressively, calmly, strategically. I still followed her backup account, where she tested narratives and captions. Every post she released on her main account had already been anticipated, screenshot, cataloged. Her performance of victimhood now collided with inconvenient truths she couldn't control. Her followers, initially sympathetic, began to notice inconsistencies. Comments questioned her ability to afford a phone, to fund a lifestyle she claimed she needed to maintain content independence. She deleted some, ignored others, but the damage was subtle, accumulating. Mia's attempts to salvage influence were absurdly theatrical. She staged elaborate photo shoots using our tablet, hunting free Wi-Fi in coffee shops, spending small sums she claimed were investments in her personal brand. The irony was lost entirely on her. Each photo was meticulously framed. The perfect cup of latte, the careful background, the pseudo-independent air, but all of it tethered to my Wi-Fi, my space, my watchful patience. Her mother, Denise, had been pulled into the chaos as a mediator, trying to ensure her daughter didn't completely implode. Yet each intervention only reinforced Mia's lack of real agency. She relied on others for resources she insisted she could manage herself. Then came the verification email. A company where Mia had claimed she worked, or had been managing social media, wanted employment confirmation. They asked me to verify her role. I replied succinctly, Mia has never been employed by me in any capacity. She occasionally takes photographs for social media purposes, which she does voluntarily. The fallout was immediate. The job vanished. Her plans for independence faltered before she could even announce them. Mia's cries of betrayal echoed through our apartment, but there was no one to validate her outrage. I was calm, observing the slow crumbling of her narrative. You lied, she wailed. You sabotaged me. I told the truth, I said evenly. For years, I've been enabling a fantasy. That ends now. For the first time, her tears were unpracticed, real, vulnerable. The mask of control had slipped, revealing the panic beneath. Social media continued to burn. She tried tagging hashtags of empowerment, freedom, independence. Every story she shared became a quiet testament to her own contradictions. Followers began to question. If she was truly independent, why rely on borrowed Wi-Fi, a tablet she didn't own, and a phone plan she didn't fund? The apartment itself became a theater for tension. I shifted furniture when she was out, changed the Wi-Fi password, cooked meals outside our usual rotation. Curry on Monday instead of pasta, spicy stir-fry instead of the usual rotation. Each small change, innocuous in isolation, created a pattern she could not predict. Her frustration mounted. And Ryan? He watched from a distance, uncertain how to navigate the fallout. He had tried to mediate, to soothe, but the reality was clear. Mia's entitlement was her own burden. My control, measured, precise, ensured that she could no longer manipulate the environment or the narrative without consequence. By day 4, the absurdity had reached its peak. Mia attempted to order delivery without the necessary apps, discovered she couldn't tip via her new flip phone, and had to borrow cash. She was trapped in the performative independence she had demanded, and the universe, in the form of my calculated unpredictability, refused to intervene. Her father, Robert, finally entered the scene. Unlike Denise, he focused on practical matters: rent, logistics, deadlines. He asked me to clarify the situation. "How much does she owe?" $900 for her half, I replied. "I'll cover it this month," he said. "She'll return home after." The final act was set. Mia, armed with a flip phone, a handful of belongings, and a desperate desire for narrative control, would have to leave on her own terms, but under rules I had quietly established. Each step of her departure became a meticulously staged display for Instagram. Outfit changes, poses by windows, every item photographed. Latte runs for Wi-Fi. Dramatic exclamations. Every post a desperate assertion of agency, colliding with the practical impossibility of her independence. And all the while, I observed, I orchestrated no chaos myself. I merely allowed consequences to reveal themselves. Social media, parental oversight, financial reality, and personal responsibility converged into a crescendo of inevitable reckoning. By evening, the apartment was quiet. Mia was still packing, still posing, still posting, but the edges of control were fraying. She realized finally that independence is earned, not performed, and that the narrative she tried to force was fragile, dependent on resources and stability she could not claim as her own. And I, Lauren Whitaker, remained the calm center. Ballast. Quiet, unacknowledged, powerful in ways Mia could neither see nor understand. By the 7th day, the stage was set for the final act. Mia had packed most of her belongings, documenting each step for Instagram stories. Outfit changes, pose shots by windows, dramatic tears caught mid-roll. Latte runs for Wi-Fi. She even tried borrowing my phone for the ring light app. "No," I said firmly, "not this time." The photo shoot continued, poorly lit, chaotic. She was desperate for control, but reality was finally asserting itself. At noon, Robert, her father, arrived in a U-Haul. Efficient, silent, and methodical, he began loading boxes. "Dad, careful with the ring light," Mia protested. "You mean the ring light Ryan bought you last Christmas?" he asked, calm. "Yes," she muttered. "It's a gift." He nodded and kept loading. The last box was carried out by 2 p.m. Mia stood in the doorway expecting something, a grand gesture, an apology, a plea. "This is it?" she asked, voice trembling. "You're really going to let me leave? You're choosing to leave. You ruined everything." "I stopped paying for your phone," I said evenly. "Everything else, the chaos, the frustration, the lessons, were reactions to that. You'll learn from them. Maybe. But predictably, I'll be able to afford therapy now that I'm not subsidizing your lifestyle." She tried to slam this door dramatically, but the apartment's soft-close mechanism refused to cooperate. It whooshed gently shut. I watched from the window as the U-Haul drove away, Mia in the passenger seat, flip phone in hand, trying to snap selfies that betrayed her helplessness. Later, I checked social media. Her farewell posts drew attention, unexpected and ironic. Followers began questioning her claims of independence. Comments revealed flirtations and DMs from men while she had been publicly portraying herself as a victim. Her following dropped by nearly 1,000 in hours. Reality had caught up to performance. She texted me from her flip phone. "This is your fault somehow." I didn't respond. Instead, I blocked her number. Spontaneously, of course. The apartment felt larger, emptier, freer. Netflix streamed. The office uninterrupted. Soup for dinner, just because I could. No one to micromanage, no one to stage drama for. Peace. A few days later, her Instagram bio had changed. Entrepreneur, digital minimalist, phoenix rising from the ashes. Her last post, 47 likes, included one from Denise. "Get a job. Even Denise is done." I kept the ring light. Now, I used it for my Zoom calls. My boss commented on how professional I looked. Lessons, subtle and hard-earned, had been delivered. When someone calls you boring, they're not asking for thoughtfulness. They're asking for a performance. When they demand spontaneity, they expect you to spend, sacrifice, and serve their narrative. I had learned to recognize the difference. And finally, I could breathe. The boat had lurched, but this time I had steered. The ballast held steady, unshaken, unacknowledged, but unbreakable.